And hello, welcome to Open, the show that opens the Bronx and the rest of the world right to you. I am Daren, Jaime. Today, we'll update you on what's happening in and around our borough and New York City. Coming up, we'll delve into a powerful and thought-provoking exploration of maternal mortality and the historical significance of black midwives. And after that, we'll spotlight a transformative year-long program that's designed to empower underrepresented documentary filmmakers. Then, we'll examine how AI and advanced in vitro models are now enhancing predictability for human outcomes while being more cost-effective and timely, offering new possibilities for the future of drug development. And then lastly, we'll discuss ways that graduates can manage their loan repayments, safeguard their credit, and confidently navigate this challenging transition, all while leveraging the distinctive repayment support programs that are available. Stay tuned because all this and much more is heading your way. Right now, we're officially open. And hello, everyone. I am Daren Jaime. You are now watching Open, a live program that brings the Bronx and New York City straight to you. We also want to welcome our viewers to the Manhattan Neighborhood Network, as Open is being broadcast simultaneously on MNN's channels. You can stay connected to us on all of our social media platforms and BronxNet TV. Some things have been going on through the course of the past week. We'll take you through it with some Bronx updates. And we start off with community news. New York City Mayor Eric Adams aims to remove those long-standing sidewalk sheds across the city. He recently signed a new set of bills under the Get Sheds Down initiative to speed up construction and clean up our streets. Now there are more than 8,400 sheds around New York City, some up for about 5 years. The new laws will shorten permit times, require brighter lighting, and introduce updated, more attractive shed designs. Property owners will face stricter penalties for delays. In other news, city officials are hitting pause on some composting fines just weeks after New York's new rules took effect. The decision comes after confusion and complaints from residents unsure about exactly which bin to use. The sanitation department issued about 4,000 tickets in just 2 weeks. Only large buildings with more than 30 units and 4 or more warnings will face a $100 fine. All other composting fines are expected to resume in 2026. In health news, as summer travel is now picking up, doctors are warning about the potential risk of blood clots on long trips. People who are pregnant, have recently had surgery, or are overweight face a higher risk, especially on flights or drives that are longer than 4 hours that don't have much movement. The CDC says symptoms of a clot include swelling, pain, and warmth in one leg, usually red and tender to the touch. To prevent it, doctors recommend getting up and stretching every couple of hours, doing some calf exercises, and also wearing compression socks. Now, if left untreated, a deep vein clot can move to the lungs or heart, which could be life-threatening. That's all the time we have for our Bronx updates. We are taking a quick break, but guess what? We have more Open when we return.
19.7% of Bronxites currently experience food insecurity. Meanwhile, instead of these nice, colorful foods, this is the best food that they have access to. If this sounds like you, there are a bunch of resources to get healthy food for free or cheap. If you want to help, you might consider donating or volunteering in one of these places. Community fridges like this one are all over the city and allow New Yorkers to conveniently donate extra food to people who might need it. Go to this link and find your nearest one. Food banks and pop-up events like these provide millions of healthy meals to families in need. These organizations are distributing meals to Bronxites as we speak and are always accepting donations and volunteers.
And we are back. The United States has a maternal mortality rate 3 times higher than any other high-income country. For Black and Indigenous birthing people, death rates are up to 3 times higher than their white counterparts. A new investigative theater production is turning these devastating statistics into a call for awareness and action. Joining me now and telling us more is the co-directors of co-writers for Axes, Herbs, and Satchels, Open the Archives, Sandie Luna, and Melissa Moschitto. Am I correct? I got it correct. That's what I'm talking about. Good to have you both.
Thank you for having us.
so much.
Yeah, and so thank you for taking the time. Really, tell us a little bit about this play because it really dives deep, and it's a deep dive into some real socioeconomic issues and then some.
Absolutely. What we are really thrilled to be touring around New York City right now is the culmination of over 2 years of work. The Anthropologists, we're a 17-year-old theater company that creates live theater using archival materials. So when we go into the rehearsal room, right away we're starting with pieces of text, photographs, cultural artifacts, and looking for the stories there. And we knew those statistics that you just shared, and that was really one of the driving motivations behind exploring this topic. And the play really looks at the past 100 years to show us how and why we are where we are, and that this has been a manufactured crisis that we're living through. And we do have the tools to solve this and to resolve these terrible statistics.
There's a marriage, if you will, of fact, and then also letting the public know we got some facts here, and there's a message that we want to be able to bring to that. Talk to us a little bit about that. I know we've got a program here.
We've been really intentional about the legacy that we're trying to convey on stage, and the reality is that there isn't enough time to actually do it justice in a way that is linear, because it wasn't linear to begin with. It's a really complicated and complex history. So what we've done is pull pieces. It's taken a lot of research, but pull back and look at one of the things we talk about are like the rings, the echoes that keep repeating themselves throughout times, right? We see the same behaviors show up in a different form. So we've taken that and created a story with an arc that has resonated really deeply with people. And we feel, some of the feedback that we've gotten is, I never knew this story, this history. This is my history, and I never heard of this. I didn't know midwives were still a thing. There's just so much that has come out of it. So what we have done is created a play that opens the bag of history, and folks can come in and sort of dig through it, and everybody will walk away with something different, because we've created enough space inside of the piece for people to come with whatever lived experience they have, and then let themselves insert themselves in the story and take something from the bag with them.
Yeah. Talking about midwives, a very, profound topic when we say not many people know the history of the midwife, right? And all the challenges that associate with it. Your hope when people see this work, what's your hope that people take away from it?
I think above all, we want people to witness the incredible depth of knowledge and tradition that still exists and persists in the midwifery community and tradition here in New York City and across the country, and that this kind of wisdom and knowledge and expertise is where we should be investing resources so that people start to become aware on a civic level when they go to vote or when they're connecting with their public officials. Like, this is where we want resources to go. Certainly, New York City is becoming more aware of and attentive to these statistics. Bronx Borough President Vanessa Gibson just recently released a report that actually says that Black women are 9.2 times as likely as their white counterparts in New York City today to suffer and die from pregnancy-related complications. And when we're talking about New York City, it seems unfathomable. Right. And so we want people to understand that we don't have to accept those statistics, that there are paths that we can take towards more equitable outcomes. And also, something that Sandie and I discovered over and over again with our creative team during the creative process is just how much joy and love there is in the midwife community and in birth and in bringing new life into this world. And that's something else that we wanted to make sure that we lifted up in this work, that it's not all about the devastating statistics, that there is real hope in this story.
And really uplifting different kinds of knowing and knowledge.
Right.
And we are conditioned into thinking there's one kind of knowledge, and midwives are living proof that one kind of knowledge is not enough.
Right.
It doesn't suffice when it comes to taking care of each other. And what midwives do is they bring a standard of care that's comprehensive, that takes the human into account. And we've sort of don't give that as much value, and we value the things that come from a book written by a certain kind of person. And so there's also been a lot of uplifting that kind of knowing, and I think the audience leaves also feeling better about themselves, right? Like, I may not hold the titles, but there are legacies, traditions that run in my family that are valuable, right? That have allowed me to be who I am.
When you talk about the audience itself, we talked about what you want people to take away. What's it like for you bringing this, the story to people in New York City who are, very much on the cusp of dealing with a lot of these issues front and center?
I mean, for me, it's super personal. So we've known each other for a really long time. Mm-hmm. And about 2 years ago, when I got an email about being part of this laboratory that I was starting doing the research, I got a little nervous at first. Mm-hmm. Because I was almost one of those statistics, and I'm gonna try not to cry. Mm-hmm. The system during, I have 2 children, and during my first pregnancy, I was let down by the system in many, many ways. I went to a birthing center. The birthing center was being defunded, so I was treated really poorly. There was no continuity of care, even though it was midwives who were doing the caring. I was transferred to a hospital where I was subjected to obstetric violence. I was denigrated while I was in 30 hours of labor. Like, my contractions were coming less than a minute apart, and I had a doctor in my face saying horrible, horrendous things to me to force me into a C-section, things that I wouldn't repeat. Mm-hmm. I'm still haunted by the people that I saw, the women that I saw around me who couldn't advocate for themselves the way that I could. I had people around me. That's still something that I carry with me, and it's very painful to know. Mm-hmm. So for me, this is very personal, because I know what it's like, and that led me, I was left in a very deep depression. Coming out of that, the whole process was just really, really difficult, even after I gave birth. via C-section. Nothing wrong with it if you need it, but to be
Right.
forced into it and to be treated like an animal, it was really horrendous. Then I wasn't being allowed to breastfeed in a New York City hospital. And so after that, that's what led me to start to look into, wait, why did this happen to me?
Right.
And that's when I started to understand how deep it went. I was like, this is not about me. And that led me to train as a doula with a focus on reproductive justice. So I think that, what the audience takes, it's empowerment. Because if I had seen something like this, maybe I would have been better prepared.
Right.
I didn't know that I was at risk of going through that kind of experience. And since becoming a doula and going to hearings and doing advocacy work, a doula with a focus on reproductive justice, I see how often it happens.
Melissa, for people who want to see this, how do they go about it?
Well, we hope that they will visit our website, theanthropologist.org. We have 4 more performances coming up. We are going to be bringing the show to Washington Heights in Upper Manhattan this Thursday. And then we're really, really thrilled to be concluding this run of the show here in the Bronx at the brand new Tiffany Street Theater, which is located at Inspiration Point in Hunts Point.
Hunts Point, yeah.
Okay.
And so we will be there Friday, May 9th through Saturday, May 11th, concluding on Mother's Day. And we really want to make it possible for anyone who feels called to this show to come see it. So we have a wide range of ticket prices. And also on Mother's Day, we're really pleased, thanks to our partnership with ID Studio Theater that Sandie is the executive director of, and Inspiration Point, that we are going to be providing free childcare for audience members. So they can sign up for that and be able to come join us at the theater.
Got to ask this question before we go out of here. The amount of time doing the research and putting this together, how much time?
Well, the hours are countless. But this process really spanned from our initial workshop in July of 2022 all the way until
And we
now.
haven't finished. As
Right.
we
It's
continue
always
to work,
evolving.
we continue to find new pieces of information. And I want to point out that it's not just the research that's in the actual going to the script, but the research that led to how we did the work. We were really intentional to not have it be business as usual, but to actually have the process of creating the piece really honor the topic that we were researching. So creating frameworks that really respected the voices in the room and borrowing from anthropologists, some of the tenets of activist anthropology, and just being really, really intentional and clear and respectful of what we were doing and who was in the room and what voices were being uplifted.
Sandie, Melissa, thank you so much. I hope people get out to see it. We're definitely going to get them out there and do our job to tell them where they can find more information. And thank you for the great work and your personal testimony. It means a lot. Thanks a lot.
Thank you for
Thank you
having
so
us.
much.
Well, listen, now, if you want more information, yes, go ahead and visit the website at theanthropologist.org. Encourage you, don't go anywhere. We got more open coming up right after this.
Only 57% of New York City high school students are college ready by their senior year. "55% of high school graduates either have no plans to attend college or are uncertain that they will ever attend. 34% of young adults don't go to college because they can't afford it. Discover what's possible. BronxNet's education programs, internships, and opportunities help engage and inspire Bronx youth and beyond to pursue their passions. Be a part of the BronxNet family. Whether you're interested in our shows, joining a class, or donating to support our mission, visit BronxNet.org to learn more.
And welcome back. In a borough brimming with untold stories and creative potential, a unique initiative is helping shape the next generation of documentary filmmakers. Through mentorship, hands-on training, and valuable networking, the program equips participants with the skills and resources, helping them advance their careers in documentary filmmaking. Joining me now is the director of the Bronx Documentary Center Film Fellowship, Tania Cypriano. And Tania, good to have you with us.
Hello, thank you for inviting me.
Glad to have you. And, I think it's important that we talk about sometimes documentaries from this perspective that underrepresented when the stories get told in the film industry. And when we think about documentaries from, that perspective, how does that weigh out with you? What are your thoughts?
Well, I think that, for the past, from the time that it started, the Bronx Documentary Center was mainly concentrated in photography. But as in 2019, they started this program, and I think that with the intention was really to give a voice to young filmmakers or young folks in general, that would be interested in being documentary filmmakers. The importance is, I think, that nobody can tell, like people will say, nobody can tell your story the way you can tell yourself. Of course, when the program started, it was specifically for filmmakers from the Bronx, although now we also accept some filmmakers from throughout the city, but that are curious or that want to have a dialogue and will tell stories that are specifically happening in the Bronx with participants from the Bronx. This year is a good example. But to answer, I don't know if I'm answering your question exactly, but I think that it's incredible because, we see films just like last year, I was part of the Doc NYC, which is a big documentary festival that happens in the city. And I was part of the jury and looking at films that are being shot and made in our city. So few were made in the Bronx. So the importance of the program is not only, I think, for the people who are telling the stories, but also for for the population of the Bronx to be featured in stories out there when we're talking about New York and New York City.
Yeah. So we got film fellowship and film fellows and the opportunity for people to really become a fellow. And that gives them an opportunity to, and I use the word opportunity 3 times because that's the key major word. It gives them a chance to really take advantage of a well-placed, and centered environment where you can learn about film, make a film, find out the goings on in a film. So for people who are a part of this fellowship, how do you define it?
Yes, I think that a lot of our fellows are coming from, I'm not they just finished college, right? And they still need some support to get them to be on the other side. And what I feel that our program does, which is very different than other places, is that it not only gives the education and the technical, help young filmmakers to get technical, to learn technical skills, but also we help them make their first short film. And it's a very much of a one-to-one. It's a very supportive environment because our group is very small. We usually accept, 4 to 8 filmmakers a year within the program. And, and they really have within our small classes, they get to not only to be able to be heard, but also, yeah, it's just a very, very more intimate one-to-one experience. They go through the process of the first part of the program. Even if they've gone to school and they've learned some of these things, we will review like the skills of like, learning how to do camera and sound and editing. Um, and then, they all come with an idea for a project, or like, or hopefully like with a work in progress of a project that then we help them be like, with mentorship and support to complete. As you will see, for example, with the films that we're presenting this coming Sunday, or meaning like, this at the end of the fellowship, fellows get to also have a public screening within our beautiful space in the Bronx, and where the community gets together and get to watch the films. But there's also another element that we have introduced to the program, that we bring like, our fellows from, I mean, we take our fellows from the Bronx and bring them into spaces like in the city, including museums and film festivals, and even with partnerships that we have made in the recent years to private screenings that have to do with Oscar campaigns. So they also get to go and see films and meet filmmakers and people in the industry. Like, they get introduced to that world. And also we bring a lot of people from other, not just New York, but from other parts of the world within the walls of the Bronx Documentary Center to, talk about their experiences, either being like a cinematographer or a filmmaker or an editor. So it's a great way also like for young filmmakers that want to, because we all know that in this world of films, of the arts in general, it's about your education, it's about your creativity, it's about your focus, your ambition, but also it has to do with making connections. So all these partnerships that we have been making lately, it's also they're quite important. Um, and the last thing that I want to say is also an element that we bring in, which is mentorship, where each fellow gets to, to dream, to say who would be their dream mentors. And, and we, many times we do get that one, either filmmaker or editor or whatever, to be able to work with them within the last stages of the fellowship and help mentoring them or they're making their films. We've had like some really pretty incredible people, and have today with some of our fellows, that are accompanying them.
If somebody's out there saying, listen, how could I become? What's the criteria for me to become potentially a fellow? Your answer?
Yes, I think it would be for you. Well, we have an open call, which is starting like next month, and it goes all the way to end of July. And what we ask is like for you to describe why you want to be part of this program, and you do have to show some background, like or either on education or on work, like just like we do require that you come with some introduction already to. But I think that thinking about the Bronx in their hearts and the stories that are in the Bronx, and also bringing in like we wanted to see your intention to learn and to learn about the skills. I think it's very important, as even as directors, and this is something I tell all of our fellows, within the world today, you may want to be a director and you want to go up there and already start from the top. But it's very important that you learn all of the technical skills into making a film, because you can only be a good director if you know what the cameraman really does. And you're going to learn about, if you learn how to do camera, you can do that better. And the same thing goes on with sound recording or with editing. I think that, being a producer and a director, it requires you to, like, if you learn how to do all of these different things, then you learn. And so it's important for us to see that, like, young people that are applying for the program, that they are willing to learn, and that they want to learn, that they understand the importance of being a whole filmmaker, not just, going for one thing.
And there's also a very special opportunity for those who are from the Bronx. I know there's a priority being given when you think about becoming a fellow. So real quickly before we go, can you share, as somebody's applying, if they're from the Bronx, how that works in the application scheme?
We get, like last year, we got, what was it, like 58 applications? I think that it is, if you are from the Bronx, I mean, we will look at your application most seriously, because we do want to keep the program within the Bronx. But I think it's you coming up with ideas and also kind of like not proving, but just explaining the access you have to those stories. Because sometimes people will have like great ideas, but once they start to go after that idea, they'll find that it's very difficult to find people that want to talk about something or places that will let you film. So I think it's important that you have some understanding of what it takes. That's what why we also look into the people who are applying to have some background, so they can already understand the importance of access. Like, you might have a great idea but not access, and that will not get you to make your films.
Right.
In our group this year, we have a few examples of people that came with ideas and that it went through, and others didn't. But if you come in with idea already knowing that you can go into those spaces, and I know if you're from the Bronx, you will know a lot more about how to tell the story from the Bronx.
Yeah. Well, Tania, we have to leave it there. Thank you so much for sharing with us, and congratulations to those who are going to be participating in the Bronx documentary, and then also those who are coming as new fellows. And thank you so much.
Thank you.
All righty.
We hear from young filmmakers.
Yes, yes. And I'll
Thank
tell
you.
our viewers again, if you want more information, go ahead and visit the website at bronxdoc.org. That's D-O-C, bronxdoc.org. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back with more Open coming up right after this.
We're gonna start the show right now. This is my favorite part. Ready in 5, 4, 3, 2. Hey, this is Angel, and I am one of the instructors for the in-studio production. Here at BronxNet, we offer classes that can help you elevate, expand, and start your television career. All you have to do is sign up at bronxnet.org/education. For the past 7 years, I have been in various productions, spanning from talk shows, independent films, news reports, art displays, teachings, musical performances, and many more. Ain't that right, Angel? Yeah, you're absolutely right, Angel. There are a lot of creative individuals that we're just waiting to sign up for the class. And if I may, can I also express Thank you, Angel. That's all the time we have left. Visit bronxnet.org/education and become a producer by taking the course. The class I offer is also in English, en español y también bilingüe. Nos vemos en la próxima clase.
What's up, creative family? Discover your voice with BronxNet Community Media Classes. Are you ready to bring your ideas to life? At BronxNet, we offer television production classes for community members ages 18 and over, empowering you to share your vision with the world. Get certified in field production, in-studio production, and our new exciting addition, podcast production. Once certified, you can create your own show to air on one of our 6 TV channels. It all starts with our free Unleash Your Ideas Masterclass, designed to help you plan your show idea and set you up for success on your production journey. This class is offered at the beginning of each month for your convenience. Our dedicated BronxNet team is here to support, encourage, and uplift you every step of the way. Join us and become a part of the creative force that engages and inspires the Bronx community and beyond. Sign up today and start your media journey with BronxNet. Visit bronxnet.org/education to learn more and register. Let's create something amazing together.
We are back. The FDA is officially moving away from animal testing, marking a pivotal shift in how drugs are developed and evaluated in the United States. The agency recently announced plans to phase out traditional animal studies in favor of cutting-edge, human-based technologies. Joining me now is the Director of Research Policy for the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine, Elizabeth Baker. And Elizabeth, a lot of people are saying this is groundbreaking, this is major. From your perspective, talk to us a little bit about the historicity here and why this is so special.
Yes, this is certainly an April to remember. It's a historic month for those of us who have been working to replace the use of animals in research and testing. The Food and Drug Administration on April 10th announced its plan to replace animal testing for pharmaceuticals, recognizing scientific and ethical issues with animal testing and the many benefits from utilizing human-based non-animal methods. And then on April 29th, the National Institutes of Health, the largest funder of medical research in the world, also announced a plan to move away from animal use. Both of these are such a big deal because they address the systemic issues that have really kept animal research and testing at the center and at the forefront, despite the many scientific and ethical issues that arise with using animals.
When we talk about this here, as we said, it's considered historic in some, but then when I think about what's going on here, there's a lot of people who are celebrating this move. And human-based technologies such as AI, organ chips, and advanced and vitro models, they actually work. How are they more predictive of actually human outcomes?
Yeah, it's really great that both the science and the ethics align here. For when it comes to using animals to develop drugs for humans, you just have so many translational failures. And that's because there are differences in our biology, our physiology, our lifespan, our metabolism, our disease characteristics. And so it really leads to different outcomes among species. But with these other methods, they are the human-based approaches. You really don't have those issues. And that's because they're utilizing the human cells, tissues, and data, and they are biologically relevant for humans. So you avoid those translational issues that come with having to extrapolate across species. And so you mentioned the in vitro tests and some of the AI and computational. These are really incredible tests that have biological human relevance. And so when we talk about the lab-based tests in vitro, one example is an organ chip. And organ chips are really exciting technology because essentially you can think of them as a small platform where human cells are seeded into this platform that is engineered to mimic the actual structure and the function of human organs. So it does a much better job of predicting what's going to happen when, say, a medication is given to humans, because we want to know, is it going to be safe for humans, and is it even going to work for humans? The other thing is that you mentioned are the computer-based methods in AI. And so these are really incredible because they can take vast amounts of information, actual human data, and they can synthesize that information and make predictions about whether a drug will be safe or will be toxic for people. And they can also analyze drug structures and many more things. So it's very exciting. It's the modern technology that has really advanced so much in recent years. But until this month, until April of 2025, it just hasn't had the support within the agencies to utilize these. And so what is happening now is the policies and the practices that have really favored the use of old science are going to be changed in favor of these methods that can do a much better job of helping us understand key information about human health and disease, as well as key information about what will happen in humans when they take a medical product.
Let's talk for dollars and cents for a moment. What is the financial implications for a person that's deciding and people who decide to move away from animal testing into this other realm?
I'm really glad you brought that up because cost is a big issue when it comes to drug development. It's a lengthy process. It takes 10 to 15 years to develop a new drug. The costs are staggering. It's about $2.6 billion to develop a new drug. The companies are facing the costs of the animal testing itself, but also the cost of the failures. So 9 out of 10 times, animal tests are wrong at predicting what will happen in humans. And so you have these medications that are tested extensively in animals that then fail when they move into humans. And I'll say that again, over 90% of the time, the animal tests are wrong. And so companies pay for those failures. It's about 66% of the costs of their research and development costs are those failures. And so I think companies are really excited about this because they want to utilize more predictive technologies that can help them make better decisions about what will work. From a company standpoint, if they invest so much money into developing a drug to just have it fail in humans, they've really lost out financially. But they also lose out because the animal tests, as we know, can really mislead companies into moving investigational medicines into humans. And so if they can make better decisions, they ensure that they don't lose out on medications that could really work for people that were unfortunately screened out because the animal tests were wrong. They'll be in a much better financial situation. And of course, with the cost of drugs in the United States, the expectation is that as the research and development is more streamlined, the costs to companies are decreased, that hopefully the end users and patients will see that as well.
Elizabeth, about 90% of Americans were against animal testing from the jump. Given the fact that that number exists at such a high rate, how important was the public's voice in really rendering what we see today?
I think it's really important. So there has been a lot of support for this for a long time. The public, as you said, about 86% of people want to see a phase out of animal testing altogether. But it's not just the public, it's also Congress. And this has been a bipartisan issue for a long time, where you see congressional support for pushing the agency away from relying on these animal tests so strongly. And then you have advisory committees too. So there's just been a lot happening from the public, from Congress, from other stakeholders for a long time. But what is different now is that we have a leader at the Food and Drug Administration who says this is a priority. It was actually his first action in office. And so now it's different because it's top down. Before, a lot of these things were more grassroots. They were coming from the outside, and the agency was the missing piece. But so now things have changed, and you really have everybody coming together saying, this is the way to do this, and the time is now.
Congress has really pushed the FDA in getting this to embrace this non-animal traditions. For yourself, obviously you're familiar with the FDA Modernization Act pretty well, and so for somebody who's not, how do you break that down? Because you talked about Congress earlier, but they really, they've got this act in front of them.
Yeah, Congress has been great on this issue going back many years. So we started working with Congress on possibly, 8 to 10 years ago, really talking with offices, getting them to understand these issues. And I will say Congress really embraced it from the jump. They started with outreach to the FDA commissioners, trying to get answers and really build up their own knowledge here. They have allocated funding, millions of dollars, to the FDA to do this work in the past to reduce animal testing. And then with the FDA Modernization Act, that was a law where essentially Congress said, we are being very clear in the statute that non-animal methods can be used and that we are not requiring the FDA to require animal experiments. And so now it's really up to the FDA to change its own policies. There are regulations and there are some guidance that definitely require and recommend and favor the use of animals. And so these have been a big deal and something that need to be changed. And the agency is aware of that. And importantly, they are saying as part of this big announcement that they will change those policies to ensure that these more predictive technologies that can do a better job for humans indeed are embraced. And if you're a company working in regulatory affairs and you need to understand what is it that the agency is going to accept, it's going to be clear in their policies that they will accept the non-animal methods.
For 10 years, you've been doing this work, more than a decade, just about. To get to this point today, your feelings?
I am feeling it's surreal. It really is. This, as I said, April 2025, a month to remember. I have been really excited for a long time, but I would say I'm bursting at the seams with excitement for the future of testing. And this is, there are so many reasons to do this work. Better science is one of them, ensuring that when people get sick, we have safe and effective medications to care for them, understanding more about human health and disease so we can prevent it, and of course, getting animals out of labs. We've got to get them out of these horrific experiences, and this work is gonna make that happen.
Yeah. Well, excited to hear what's happening around the corner. As we said, some things still are up ahead. What should people be paying attention to before we go?
I think it's really important. So we have the announcements, and now we need to see the agencies put these announcements into practice. And I think because it's come from the top, these are things that are coming at the beginning of the tenure of these leaders of the agencies. I think we can expect good things, but we'll certainly be there working to collaborate and ensure that the agency is indeed carrying out these commitments.
All righty. Well, thank you so much, Elizabeth, and congratulations on the job well done. And more than a decade getting it to the finish line, but we're grateful for the work that you put in. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All righty. If you want more information, visit the website, pcrm.org. Encourage you don't go anywhere. We've got more open coming up right after this. And welcome back. As graduation season draws near, a financial reality check is hitting grads real hard. With the return of federal student loan delinquency reporting, millions of Americans are beginning post-grad life already at risk of long-term credit damage. Joining me now to discuss this is branch manager of Municipal Credit Union, Shardenay Palmer. And Shardenay, thank you for taking the time to be with us. And it's a tough time for some grads. I mean, obviously, we've heard the news coming out of Washington, D.C. about this enforcement. How do you feel this is playing out in the life of those who are graduating and those who are really attending colleges and universities?
Thanks for having me. And it definitely is a time for celebration as folks are graduating, but also a time where, the reality of the financial implications are hitting. I would say the best thing for graduates to do in this season is to really try and be proactive. Start planning now, because what we do know is that late payments or non-payment can have a negative impact on your credit score. So what I would recommend is to, budget smart, know what you have coming in and going out. Sign into your loan servicer, make sure that you know what's due and when it's due, and try and make sure that you pick a date that fits your cash flow. So many loan servicers will provide that option for you to adjust your due date within the month, so that you can comfortably make those minimum payments.
For,
But the best thing to do is plan.
yeah. And Shardenay, for somebody who's out there saying, listen, you know what, this isn't a big deal. It really is. I want you to break it down for how big a deal it is. Because if you do have a delinquency on your credit report, talk to me about the ramifications.
Okay, so delinquency on your credit report negatively impacts your credit score. And you can think of your credit score as kind of your financial report card, right? It lets lenders know how trustworthy you are with your money. And so when your score is lower, it actually can prevent you from being able to do certain things, whether that's rent an apartment, be able to get an auto loan, maybe get a home loan down the line. So you want to ensure that you're being proactive and really guarding your credit and making sure that you're working so that it can be as good as possible, to be able to afford you all of the opportunities that you would be looking for down the road, especially now that you're graduating and kind of looking to get started in life.
We're seeing a rise, though, of 90-plus day delinquencies. And give me your take on that.
So with that said, there could be many factors that are contributing to that rise that we're seeing. So there's no mistaking, though, what I can say, the fact that delinquency and non-payment can negatively impact your credits, right? So what we want to make sure that these students know is that there is hope. If there is a situation where you haven't been able to pay, or maybe you have even become delinquent on your loan, there are relief programs out there that you can research. Make sure that you are not waiting, you're being proactive, contacting that loan servicer and trying to work out a payment plan. As well as making sure that you're looking into relief programs, but don't get scammed. So make sure you're looking at reputable sites, sites that end in .gov. I know that studentloanborrowerassistance.org is a resource that's out there for students who need help.
Loan forgiveness is something that was talked about in both presidential administrations. Where do we stand, and your thoughts on where we are with loan forgiveness?
I wish I could shake a magic 8 ball and tell you where we are with that or where we're going with it. I can't speak to it as I'm not an expert. But what I would say is don't. I wouldn't have people kind of bank on that. Instead, I would go back to making sure that you have a plan for yourself. So whether you're just now starting to pay, or whether you're in a situation that's a bit sticky and you've had some trouble, making sure that you are reaching out for help as soon as possible. These loan servicers don't want you to default just as much as you don't want to default. So a lot of them are willing to work with you around repayment. There are even some that offer income-based repayment options so that you can pay more that's in your budget. But the goal, I think, and the advice that I would give is to make sure that you're raising your hand if you need the help, because we don't know where we're going to land with that.
What do you tell people who are out there saying, listen, I want to get healthy with my credit. I want to have some, good credit. I don't want to be in a place where I just, I'm in a place of delinquency and having to get those numbers back up. What are some healthy credit strategies that probably somebody can implement?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I would say healthy habits if you're just starting out. Number one, I would say make sure that you're paying your bills on time, even if you're just paying the minimum. If you can pay a little bit more than the minimum, that's great and it works out for you. Number two, I would say try to keep your balances as low as possible. So if it's something that you really can't afford, try not to go ahead and splurge. And number three, I would say only borrow what you truly need. So it's not great when you go ahead and open up multiple lines of credit, and that temptation to spend does kind of get to you at times. So those are the three things I would recommend for someone who's just starting out. If actually you are someone who has had some issues, maybe have some late payments, I would say it's not the end of the world. You can rebuild. your financial institution may have options for you. There are resources out there. I know that MCU offers a credit builder program that members are able to take advantage of and make sure that we can help them rebuild their credit over time. So there are things that can help.
Yeah. We do know rebuilding credit, though, does take time. And what do you say to somebody who's missed a payment, have been in that place before where maybe I thought I did right, didn't do right. Now you're paying the price of a delinquency. You did say it's not the end of the world, but take it away. Tell us some more.
So for someone who's in that situation, number one, I would say you're not alone. Many of us have been there. Many of your peers are there. So I would say take one step at a time. Ask for help, number one. Make sure that you make a plan that you can stick to so that you're not missing payments moving forward. And focus on making progress. It will take time, but you can rebuild and you will be able to get yourself into a better financial shape.
Yeah. Well, we got to leave it there, but I want to thank you so much for taking the time of sharing with us. I think it's a lot of critical information out there. Things are changing, but hopefully we can avoid a lot more people falling into this, losing their credit or having a credit downfall. They tell me I do have another minute left, so I can't ask you this, though, about student loan programs. For somebody who wants to get enrolled in a student loan program that might be able to even help them navigate through this, what are some options?
There's so much out there, and there is relief out there. So what I would say is, I can't speak to all of the programs, but what I would say is do your research. Make sure that you are going to reputable sites that end in .gov so that you're getting legitimate help, and don't wait. Be proactive about it.
All right. Well, good information there. We're going to thank you so much for taking the time and being with us. Shardenay Palmer, branch manager at the Municipal Credit Union. And for people who want to get in contact and find out, what do they do?
So we actually have 15 branches across the borough, so you can stop into any of our branches and we'd be happy to assist. We're also on all of the social media outlets, so you can connect with us and we'd be happy to help you.
All righty. Shardenay Palmer, branch manager at Municipal Credit Union. You saw the information at the bottom of the screen. If you didn't, let me tell you again. For more information, go ahead and visit the website at nymcu.org. Well, we come to the end of our show today. I want to thank all of our guests for joining us, and most of all, you, the viewer, for tuning in. If you missed any part of today's show, you can catch the recablecast right on Optimum Channel 67, Verizon Files Channel 2133, or watch us anytime on the web at BronxNet.org. You can also catch a brand new episode of Open with my girl, Rena Valentine, on Friday. That wraps up this episode for us here on Open. I am Daren Jaime saying make sure to keep this channel wide open, saying take care and God bless.